Hey, this is my project for the CS842 course. It is unordered SQL, but it's also like a passion project of mine. I've been thinking about it for a while. So the general idea is basically, what if you could have SQL, but you can reorder the clauses in any order? So imagine you have a select statement where you have select from where. Well, in unordered SQL, let's suppose you can have as many selects, as many froms, as many wheres as you want in whatever order you desire. So you can have from select where. And as long as there is at least one select clause or at least one from clause, you have, well, a valid statement. And if there is no select clause, so it's just, let's say, from table, then you end up with select star from table. That's what's implied. So let's just go over some of the examples to get an idea of like how powerful this can be. So let's suppose that you want to uncomment this line. Well, if you want to uncomment that, you have to put a comma over here, right? It's a little bit annoying, but if you have something like this, then you can uncomment this one, you can comment this one. It's like, it's very flexible. Same thing with the where conditions. Here's another example where, let's say you developed these two separately, and then after you figured, okay, these are good, you can then write this one. Small little adjustments, but everything. It's a nice exercise. One thing to note is that it does make things a little harder to read, which is why it's important that there is a ready conversion from unordered SQL to SQL. So SQL is supposed to be also valid unordered SQL, but unordered SQL also has a easy translation into the regular stuff. So for example, this gets translated into this as, we'll see. Yeah. Now, going back to the original project proposal, it originally was such that just to parse the language was just, this is the bare minimum. It's not that hard to do because you could just find an open source AST parser. It turns out I'm not terribly good at finding things. At least I don't have much experience in it. Now I feel, at least at the time that I started, now I feel like I have a bit more confidence in the system. So maybe I can work with it better. But at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. So I figured, okay, if I just code everything from scratch, then I'll have a better understanding of like what it is I am doing. So that's what I did. I initially wrote up a parser, very, very simple one, that essentially doesn't read inside any of these fields. It just treats it as a plain text. So let's just take a look at what it does. So over here we have a from, select. You can see select, from where. It has this like nasty format, but that's just because it's pasting it in as plain text. It doesn't do any checks, but here's the thing. Like, I could have used a library to do this, to do like, say, the analysis on whatever this is. It'd be a little unperformant, but at the time I just wanted to like figure something out that was pretty nice. So I wanted to try coding it myself. I've never done that before, and I feel like that's kind of the direction. So it kind of turned out to be more of like an exercise in writing a parser. I decided to go with a recursive descent parser plus operator precedence parser, and the reason for that is because most of the time when you are parsing syntax that is actively being edited, as it is over here, like for example, you want autocomplete, right? Most of the time the syntax is actually invalid. And so you need to be able to be resilient against that. An LALR1 parser would just throw an error, but you actually want to continue on as much as you can. So here's a tokenizer. Here is my token, which is the token spec. You have a consume and a peek function. Fairly straightforward what it does. Peek gets you the values ahead, and then consume then consumes it so that you move the position ahead one. And you also have the parser. Here you have the top level, parse all, and then the operator precedence parser is the parse expression. One thing to note is that I don't have prefix operators on right now, but it'd be fairly straightforward to add. And then of course we have the formatter and the autocomplete just to showcase that the parser indeed works. So why don't we run the formatter just to get an idea of like what it does. So there's a couple of interesting functionalities like duplicate table removal. This removes the two tables so that you don't end up with some sort of weird join. And this was the original one in the README. So you have two separate ones, and then you can develop however which way you want. You also have like an automatic insertion of select star. So that's all cool. One big limitation that I wish I could have done if I had more time is handling edits. As it stands right now, the way that you handle edits is simply to reparse the entire file, but if you're a bit smarter about it, you can be more efficient with your computing resources and only reparse the statement that got affected, or maybe 3 statements around it. As a whole, I feel like I've understood the system at a more fundamental level, and I'm sort of ready now to try doing it with a real database client, so I'll hopefully get onto that over the winter break. I'm hoping to work with some sort of database client like dbeaver, and really excited about it.